On Sunday, June 29th, 1997, an elderly couple, Lela and Raymond Howard, from Salado, Texas, decided to go to a day festival in Temple, a town that was 15 miles away. The couple were both widowed and had come together over a love of music. Despite objections by Lela's oldest son, who wanted to drive them, they left for a fiddle festival early that morning. Lela's son's concerns came from the fact that his 83-year-old mother was starting to show signs of Alzheimer's and was easily confused. One time, Lela meant to show up at a local Walmart for morning coffee at 10:30 a.m., but instead arrived at 10:30 p.m., perplexed as to why the son was not up yet. Her husband Raymond also had signs of mental deterioration due to a recent brain surgery that was the result of a stroke. Neither Lela nor Raymond were aware of their own severe mental decline. At the end of that day, the Howards had not returned home. It would later be discovered that a Walmart employee in the town of the festival remembered seeing Lela and Raymond coming in for coffee that afternoon. However, after that encounter, their movements cannot be accounted for. Lela and Raymond's adult children would then become concerned and file a missing persons report, and an APB was posted that day. That same evening, 350 miles away from the Howards' home in Arkansas, the Howards would be pulled over for driving without their headlights. The deputy that pulled them over later noted that Lela was polite, gentle, and acted just like his own grandmother. Lela stated that they were trying to get back to Texas, and the deputy informed her that they were heading the wrong direction and that they should turn around and head back the way they came. The deputy asked Lela where they lived, and she could not remember. At this point, he let them off with a warning and sent them on their way. Just 30 minutes later, the Howards would be pulled over for a second time, this time for driving with their high beams on. This deputy also gave them a warning and let them go once again. The Howards disappeared. On Thursday, July 3rd, the Howards would be spotted at a farmer's market in Arkansas. After that, there would be no further developments until July 9th, when the couple's story was covered on the CBS morning show. At this point, many tips would be called in, none of which would pan out. A newspaper editor, Denise Gamino, was allowed into the Howards' home before writing her article. The signs of mental decay were obvious. The television was unplugged, hearing aids left behind in the bathroom, even the calendar, which should have been on July, was still on February. The Howards even left their cat Happy alone with not enough food and water. The Howards' adult children were not aware of how severe their parents' mental conditions had become. On July 12th, the bodies of Lela and Raymond Howard were discovered in their car by hikers at the bottom of a 25-foot cliff in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Raymond was still in the passenger seat, but Lela was about 20 feet away in a ravine, still clutching her purse and car keys. It was apparent that after the car went over the cliff, she put it in park, turned off her headlights, opened the passenger side door for her deceased husband, and crawled away to eventually succumb to her injuries. There were no skid marks found at the top of the cliff, indicating that Lela had never hit the brakes and drove straight over the edge. Investigators do not consider this to be a suicide, however, just a very old person with declining motor skills that either got confused or distracted and was driving too fast on this road and didn't see the cliff's edge before it was too late. It is unknown how long the Howards' bodies remained there undiscovered. However, what is known is that the site of the crash was previously searched by the authorities from the air, but they could not see the bottom of the cliff due to the excess brush in their line of sight. And again, There were no skid marks on the road to indicate that anyone had went over. For whatever reason, instead of being buried next to each other, the Howards were buried next to their respective first spouses. I would be curious to know how they feel about that. I also wonder how the two Arkansas deputies that pulled them over feel about the fact that if they had done a tiny bit of police work, they could have saved their lives that night. In 1998, Texas songwriter Tony Scalzo wrote a song that was inspired by this story. He released it with his alternative rock band called Fastball. The song was titled The Way. Due to copyright reasons, we can't play it for you, but I encourage you to go check it out for yourself. Anyone can see the road that they walk is paved in gold, and it's always summer. They'll never get cold. They'll never get hungry. They'll never get old and gray. You can see their shadows wandering off somewhere. They won't make it home, but they really don't care. They wanted the highway. They're happier there today. Today. Rest in peace.